All right, number 3, letter C, continuing here. My video cut off on me there. Your final answer, without working through it step by step, should be 14 minus 22i. Number 4 brings in a concept known as complex conjugates, which really you know what those are. I just not sure that I have used the word conjugate before, but conjugates are kind of like well, like the difference of two squares, how we factored x squared minus 36 into x plus 6 times x minus 6. Those are conjugates of each other. But this time we're talking about complex conjugates, meaning that the two binomials we're multiplying together are complex numbers. Complex numbers meaning part of the number is real and part of the number is imaginary. So in this case, what's going to happen here is the same thing that happens with the difference of two squares. When you multiply 5 times 5, that gets you 25. And then when you distribute the 5 to the 7i, that gets you 35i. But then when you go back to distribute your negative 7i, you get negative 35i. So those cancel each other out. And then minus 49i squared. Well, we know I squared to be negative 1, so this is really 25 plus 49, which is 74. Letter B, same thing. The middle term is going to cancel out. So for this one, 100 minus I squared is 100 plus 1 because I squared is negative 1. 100 minus negative 1 is 100 plus 1, which is 101. Letter C, same thing. Middle term cancels out. Distribute your negative 3 gets you 9 plus 24i minus 24i. So those go away. And then minus 64i squared. I squared is negative 1. So this is 9 plus 64, which is 73. And then letter D is just wrapping all that up and saying what's true about the product of two complex conjugates. Well, the answer is going to be a real number, is all they're wanting there. Number 5, to kind of pull together what we just did again here, they're wanting you to multiply a plus bi times a minus bi. I've done that here step by step. I distributed my a, and then I distributed my bi, and I arrived at this first expression. My middle term again canceled out. Your I squared is negative 1, which makes this plus b squared. And that is what they were wanting us to prove, that we got a final answer of a squared plus b squared. Number 6, we are to take negative 8 plus 2i and multiply it by its conjugate. And that means we are to multiply negative 8 plus 2i times negative 8 minus 2i. And if I double distribute there, again, my middle term cancels out. I get 64 minus 4i squared. I squared is negative 1. 64 plus 4, 68. Answer 3. Number 7, I messed this one up big time, but at least I finally found my mistake here. So if I double distribute here, that gets me 36 minus 4i squared, which is 36 plus 4, which gives me 40. And then double distributing over here as well gets me 9 minus 16i squared. But we are to subtract our answer to this. Well, 9 minus 16i squared is actually 9 plus 16, which is 25. So I have 40 minus 25, which is 15, which is number 1. Number 8. This is getting a little monotonous. So we are to multiply and combine like terms. So we're looking at 24 plus 16i plus 15i plus 10i squared minus, now for the second piece, whatever we get when we multiply these, this negative has to distribute to that. So however, I do see these are conjugates, so I should get a real number here. 4 times 4 is 16. And then minus 4i, and then plus 4i, those go away. Minus I squared is negative 1. 16 plus 1 is 17. So we have this expression over here, minus 17. So for the sake of time here, let's just do this real quick. I squared is negative 1, so I have 24 minus 10, which is 14. And 14 minus 17 is negative 3. And then I combine these two terms, and that gives me 31i. Again, if you see anything that I've done wrong, please let me know. I'm trying to just get this video done. So number 8, same basic idea. We're distributing your 7. Now this is binomial times a binomial, so that's got to be double distributed. And I'm adding whatever I get here. Double distributing the 4 gets me negative 24 plus 28i. Double distributing the negative 2i gets me plus 12i minus 14i squared. I squared is negative 1, so that's really plus 14 right there. Gosh, combining all these like terms, so I'm going to have 21 minus 24, which is negative 3. And negative 3 plus 14 is going to be 11. Then I'm going to combine all my I terms. Negative 35. Well, here, let's do this first. 20, 30. This gives me 40. These two I terms put together gives me 40. And then 40 minus 35 is 5i. So 11 plus 5i. And, gosh, lastly, 5 plus 2i squared means 5 plus 2i times 5 plus 2i plus 2 minus I squared means 2 minus I times 2 minus I. So, no commentary here. I'm just going to run through this. Just change that I squared to a negative 1, which made that minus 4. And then over here, gosh, I'm getting really bad with this video here. That would be 4 minus 4i minus 1. So we've got 25 minus 4, which is 21. 21 plus 4, 25. And 25 minus 1 is 24. And then if I combine my I terms, I have 20i minus 4i, which gets me 16i. Final answer.